What's up, everyone? We are live for a special 8 p.m. edition of Spin from the Real. Once again, I am Matt, and joining me as always is the personality himself, Chris Anthony Lopez.
Stop it. Yo, I was so used to a regular time. So, I mean, we're not changing any times yet, but now at the 8 p.m. Eastern show, 7 p.m. for us here in Central Standard Time. But it was weird because when 5 o'clock came for me, I'm like, oh, God, am I supposed to be doing something? Yeah, I'm supposed to be, doing Spin from the Real. But today we have a really special episode, at least for all of us here. By all of us, I mean the two of us, because we're pretty jazzed. We have a special guest, and we have a big show to do. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked to be here. Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked to be here too. This is something special. It's big. It's weird to think that we're here now. We have the first official interview with the RAGER, Rick Raddus, one of the latest announced draft options for this year's or next year's, like however you want to look at it, 2021 Schmodown draft. And yeah, this is gonna be insane.
Yeah, the RAGER Rick Raddus has been an awfully mysterious character since he first showed up. And I mean that's the vibe that we've been getting on the Facebook page. Like when Christian announced everything on Monday. By the way, just casually just dropping a bunch of names. No, nothing crazy. But Rick Raddus is one that people didn't know who he was, and people still don't know who he is. And we're over here like, yo, like who is this man? And the fact that we got to reach out to Taylor Cleek, the regent of the RAGER, Rick Raddus, and surprisingly, the RAGER agreed, and now we're gonna talk to him the second we can. But I'm so curious into how he could possibly fit into any of these factions. We'll get into that later in the show when we actually talk about all that crazy stuff. But we got his first interview, and I'm just over here thinking, please don't rage too hard on us, because we don't rage too often over here, the two of us. Sometimes we do,
unless we go head to head about certain things in the show.
Yeah. But no, we have stack show, but obviously we got the RAGER coming whenever the RAGER decides to show up.
And you'll probably know when he shows up because you'll hear that ping or pop or whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
But before we get started and bring him on, we do have some housekeeping. As you can see, we're now blue. We are going to be doing a little bit of rebranding, just changing things up a little bit. So just here, let's go about how this next month of January is going to go.
Yes.
So this first thing is off the top. January will be our last month on Wednesdays. We will be switching to Mondays following the draft. We'll probably do a special draft episode after the draft. But yeah, it's Mondays going forward. So next Wednesday we will be talking the Schmodown Awards.
Yep.
The week after that, we may continue with the awards because we're
gonna have some time to kill.
Yeah, we're gonna have some time to kill. The following week is when we will have, or we're gonna try to arrange a mock draft based off of the people we know who are in the draft already, and take a guess on who's gonna be locked up by what factions. We're gonna try to get some special guests on for that. I know Chris and I talked about that on the pre-recorded one we did just a week or maybe it was the last live one we did. It's the holidays. Things are crazy.
They're all blending together.
Yeah.
And I mean, just based off of the pre-tape that we did where we talked about factions and how they're going to go about next season, we already have to make some amendments off of recent changes and people not returning or them speculation and stuff.
Ours didn't. I looked. I have ours.
There's one name that sticks out, and I don't want to spoil it too much because we're going to talk about that later.
Last prediction on the day. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, to me, that changes everything about the faction that that person's not going to be on according to us. So now I'm gonna try to convince you again on my stance from the show we did last week. But we'll see what happens when the time comes. But we're going to Mondays. I'm so stoked to be on Mondays because Mondays. Because us already being on Wednesday is a little bit of a meh. And with the schedule announcement earlier today by Christian Harloff, we're going to get Schmodown on Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. And at least for me, it's like, oh, yeah, we have the match early in the day, but then there's 2 more for the rest of the week. And we didn't want to have the show on Wednesday because we want to talk about these matches and their completion once they're done. So hence why the move to Mondays. And hopefully we don't step on anybody else's toes on Mondays because the last couple of weeks have been these other joints. The Shimano community has been really nice to us. Thank you to all the people that voted for us to potentially be nominated for Podcast of the Year. I know we didn't get the nod.
Voted on our nomination to be nominated.
Yes, it honestly meant a lot just to see our name on there. We might have talked about it last week, but I'm going to emphasize that one more time here before the Rager comes on. But I truly, I just thank you because we're out here trying, and 2021, it may be the year of spin from the reel. Like I'm not even trying to spit any hyperbole, but we're making some big moves. We're trying to do some cool things, and one of those cool things, starts right now.
So without further ado, we're gonna the potential 2021 Movie Trivia Schmodown draft pick, the Rager, Rick Raddus.
Well, spin from the reel, baby. How you boys doing?
What's going on? Well, again, Rager, Rick Raddus, I appreciate you coming on the show. Rick, I know we have so many questions, and I know the people probably have so many questions, and they need answers, because you popped up on the scene on Monday. Christian said you were going to be in the draft, and we saw you in a similar setup. And I'm curious, Rick. I mean, how did you even find the Schmodown to begin with? How did you even get involved in the draft?
Chris, that's a great question, but it's not the question. The question isn't how the Rager found the Schmodown. The question is how the Schmodown found the Rager. And the reason they found the Rager is because they need him. Need something new. Need something hot and fresh. See, this draft, this free agent draft, bringing rookies in, fresh blood, fresh meat, it is all about the evolution of the Schmodown. Out with the old, in with the new. They needed me, and they found me like a moth to the flame. So when I heard they were bringing in new talent, I said, that's me. That's Ricky Raddus right there. That's me. So, sending my tape. Christian Harloff loved it, and the rest is history. Here we are.
So I'm guessing before any of this was announced, you got to talk with Christian.
Sure. He and I are getting real familiar. I would say we're pretty good friends, if I'm being honest. It's no secret, man. Christian Harloff is a fan of the Rager, and I don't blame him. They're all going to be fans of the Rager before this is said and done. They're all, once they get to know the man, they're going to be fans. But right from the top, the peak of the mountain, it's going to trickle down, baby. Rager fans all the way down.
So, I mean, obviously you're no stranger to movie trivia. We've seen some other things and some other outlets say, hi, Jessica, meet Rick Raddus. So, Rick, I'm curious. I mean, what's your movie like? What's your movie palette like? I see the Fight Club poster behind you. Like, is that yours, or is it on a loan? Like, I want to know what your movie palette is so the people can know. If you will let the people know.
Yeah, it's mine. It's mine. We are in my den here, my rage cave, of course. I actually used to be the leader of my own personal chapter of Project Mayhem, so it's just kind of a hallmark, just kind of a keepsake from my past, from my youth. I do love Fight Club. I love scary movies. I got a lot of energy. I got kind of an aggressive spirit. I've got a real edged soul, if you will, and
really
engage with stuff that makes me feel the way people feel about the Rager. You know, you see I've got all sorts of candles lit. Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Pennywise, the best of them. I can run with the best of them, quite frankly. I like stuff that's scary. I do. It's true.
Interesting. So I know being that you've felt the need to go into the Schmodown, is there any matches you personally like watching from the Schmodown?
I mean, it doesn't get any better than Roka Merle one, right? At the same time, I love watching. I love Bateman Merle. I love Collins Merle most recently. I guess we're seeing a kind of a through line. I like Dan Merle matches, whether he wins or loses. You know, they don't call him the greatest of all time for nothing. But that's the thing. I like to see who's doing it the best. And personally, right now, I think Adam Collins is doing it the best. I like to see who's doing it best because I know that's where I'm going. That's where I'm headed. And if I'm going to be the best, I got to beat the best. And I can't beat the best until I see the best. So I like high-profile matches. Give me Nicholson vibes. Here's Ricky. You know, I like seeing the best. And I like seeing people who can put on a show. I like seeing people who really put themselves into it. You know, who really believe in what they're doing, have conviction. I'm thinking of people like Videodrome. I'm thinking of people like Bibiani, big entrances, beast. I'm thinking of people like Tom. I'm thinking of people like Andrew Guy. Those are some of the competitors I admire and I look forward to meeting.
See, and it's funny that you say that because, I mean, if you do get drafted, I mean, and you know, there are a lot of names and all the names haven't been confirmed yet. Like, and I think people just want to know, like, where you come from, Rager, because like I mentioned earlier, you came out of nowhere, literally nowhere. So we should have asked off the jump, but I want to ask you now before we forget. Is there anything you want to let the people know about yourself? Maybe a pitch to managers saying a little bit about yourself?
Chris, here's the thing. It starts with darkness, nothingness, absence of anything and everything. Suddenly, atoms smashing, particles heating up, lights, colors, sound, life. The Rager is born into a world that he doesn't understand, but a world that he will command, Daddy. And that's this world. And that's what you have to look forward to. The fire is burning, and it burns hot. The Rager is coming. That's all you.
I mean, I was totally expecting like a hometown, you know, like maybe
unknown.
Parts unknown. All right, so definitely like Kane. So you're no stranger to fire. But the Schmodown found you. You said, did it call out to you? Did this? Because I mean, we've seen some information going around, and you've been a part of movie trivia contests before.
That's true. Mm-hmm. You know, when I say they called out to me, it's not a phone call. It's not a text message. It's not a tweet. It's more of a spiritual awakening. It's more of a kindred soul. You know, when you go back and you trace all the miniature events creating the destiny of our lives, you know, the real reason they even started this draft, the real reason that they're calling on new talent, they didn't know it at the time, but it was only to give Rager an avenue into the Schmodown. They didn't know it, but they're starting to learn. Ask Christian Harloff.
I mean, those are some big words, Rick. I wonder.
That's Rager to you. That's Rager to you.
I mean, but okay, Rager it is. I apologize, Mr. Rager. There's been some chat in the Facebook group about a certain man on the moon. Do you get any inspiration from Kid Cudi? You know, he is Mr. Rager, but does that have any connection? Just curious, out of from a fan standpoint.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Matt, please.
I got nothing after that.
Look,
I spent I spent some time in a couple boroughs in Northeast Ohio, so I do think Kid Cudi and I. We have kind of walked the same path. We are very similar people.
Word. I would have never known.
No.
So I do want to ask, because when they brought up the new potential draftees on SCN the other day, you had managers on screen like Winston Marshall and Roxy Stryer, and they're like, "What is the Rager about? I don't know what the Rager is about. How am I supposed to be willing to draft this guy without knowing what he's about?"
Look, the Rager. First of all, I love hearing people like Winston Marshall and Roxy Stryer talk about the Rager. It just sounds good, you know what I mean? Has a tune to it. Sounds good, hits the ear just right. Seeing Rager get the recognition he's earned. What is Rager about? Rager is about bringing the energy. He's about bringing the thunder. He's about bringing the fire, and he's about burning the house down. He's about talking trash and backing it up with supreme movie trivia knowledge. And I'm not just in here to get the answers right. Ding, ding, 2 points, big freaking deal. I'm in here to put on a great show. I'm in here to captivate people. I'm in here to inspire people. I'm here to give them something to aspire to and show them that movie trivia is not just, it ain't just a game. It's a way of life. And I live it every single day. And I'm going to bring that kind of energy and that kind of passion and that kind of showmanship when I am drafted in traditional.
And Matt, in that same segment you're talking about from SCN Live, they were going through all of the draft picks. Yeah. And Rick, I'm curious to ask you about your thoughts on all of the other draftees that were announced over the last few days. Like, I know we got some yesterday, but a decent amount of them came Monday alongside yourself. But Mr. Rager Rick Raddus, I would love to know, does anyone stick out to you from the rest of the draft pool that we've seen so far?
Look, here's the thing, Chris. Here's the thing, buddy. I don't want to come in here out the gates and start disparaging my fellow rookies. You know, I love talking smack. I love having fun. Mm-hmm. I don't want to make anyone feel bad for trying this out, but
sure.
When I go on the Facebook group for the movie trivia Schmodown, that's right. People don't think the Rager's got a Facebook, but he's got one. When I go on and I check it out and I see these polls, who are you most interested in? Who are you most curious about? I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling down before I see Rick Raddus represented. And he's got a couple votes. He's got a percentage, but I don't like how small that percentage is. And I get it. I don't want to make anybody feel bad. They don't know me. That's why I'm here, right? I'm speaking to you, and by extension, I'm speaking to them so they can know what they're getting into. When I see people going to vote, when I see Brother Lewis, you know, when I see, and don't get me wrong, he's a fascinating guy, right? Mm-hmm. But when I see Brother Lomas up there, Beth mate, well, sure, she's very sweet. Sure, she's very nice. I don't want to say anything bad about anybody. When I see Paul Walter Hauser up above me, I go, are you kidding me? You kidding me? The Rager beneath these guys? Here's the thing. It's put up or shut up, right? You know, you gotta prove yourself. You gotta engage with the people. So that's what I'm gonna do. I am excited to be held amongst those people. I'm excited to be in their company. But once we get this thing going, once I'm drafted, once you see what the Rager can do, he's going straight to the top of the list, right? Every single vote, 100%.
Every single vote.
Every last one, Daddy.
No recounts?
You know, lesser people would ask for a recount right now, but I'm not going to do that.
Alrighty then. And I mean, you said Paul Walter Hauser, and he's no stranger to SCN. He's no stranger.
What a jewel.
Yeah, what a jewel. Yes, definitely. Yeah. But I'm curious, another thing, Rager, right? You already mentioned some names that stick out to you, right? But if you can, I know your agent wasn't too keen on giving away too much about you because, you know, you're, like you said, you're relatively new. And honestly, you're just based off of the conversation we've had right now, it's still kind of sus. You're you look like you're doing your tasks, but you still seem kind of sus, and I totally get it.
Sus.
I mean, you're here with your sunglasses on. You got the candles behind you. Like, there's a certain vibe to you. And we had ASG 1982 in the chat. It said, give off Nicholson vibes, like The Shining. just stuff like that. But this is your pitch to managers. These managers are trying to draft you. You're trying to get drafted. And if you can say to us, I don't know if you've spoken to your agent or not about this, but are there any managers that you maybe saw play or saw their competitors play throughout the year that maybe gave you that they can work with the Rager well, that they can work with Rick Raddus well, if you can disclose that?
Here's the thing, Chris. I could be an asset to any team. Let me make that clear. I'm an adaptable son of a gun. All right. I'm my craft and what I bring to the table has evolved over time, and I can adapt to any group, any kind of chemistry. But as far as what appeals to me, I'm looking for souls I resonate with. People I connect with, and I see somebody like the rock stars. I see what Roxy Stryer brings to the table. Somebody who can talk smack and back it up. Somebody who is going to get in people's faces and get them riled up and doesn't care if people are crying. They ain't got any tissues for them. I like that. I look at something like the Finstock Exchange. Had a bit of a rough go at it these past couple of weeks. It's been a lot of drama, been a lot of tension. But that's okay. Pressure makes diamonds, and I can hang with it. Some of the greats of all time have been in the Finstock, and it would be an honor. It would be a pleasure and a privilege to walk amongst that Mount Rushmore, baby. And then I think of something like corruption. How can we not talk about corruption, especially again based on this past season? I'm kind of a nasty guy. I'm going to be honest. It's been said before, and it'll be said again. I'm kind of a nasty guy. And when I see corruption, again, these are people who don't care whose feelings they hurt. They're here to win. They are here to make an impression, and they are here to shut everyone down, and I like that. I love that. So as far as groups I vibe with, managers I admire, those are factions that it would be a pleasure to play.
I mean, yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioned Finstock by name because in the Facebook group leading up to Christian announcing all these draftees, at one point Leo Logan in the chat saying Christian has compared him to Finstock, Snyder, and Makuga combined, which is the perfect segue to my question. Thank you, Leo Logan, friend of the show. How do you feel about that comparison? How do you feel about being essentially an amalgamation of Tom Dagnino, of the Wild Man Josh Makuga, and the In-Snyder Jeff Snyder?
I'm not gonna be upset by that comparison. I think when you get the Rager, you're getting something unique, and you're getting something you haven't had before. So I on one hand, it's almost doing me a disservice to say he's like these guys. That's what you can expect. But as far as introducing me to new faces and new friends, I don't mind the comparison. Fact of the matter is, that's three of the best performers and trash talkers that the Schmodown has ever seen. So it's high praise coming from Christian Harloff. If anybody knows who the best of the best is, it's Christian Harloff. So I appreciate the comparison. I do. And as far as its accuracy, I'm gonna say it's not bad. That's what it's all about for me. Putting on a show. Angry Tom Cruise, guys. Hey, wear your mask! Wear your mask! Every night I go to sleep thinking about these things. I think it's a great comparison. And as far as living up to that, that's a high bar, right? That's a tall order to meet. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to meet it. Meet it and greet it, baby.
Well, we actually do have a question from Astro. What are Rick's favorite types of alcoholic beverages?
It's like the Wild Man.
Yeah, I'm not much of a. When it comes to the alcohol, I'm not much of a drinker. That kind of goes back to a former time in my life. I got in a lot of trouble, and I'm still paying for it all these years later. So what I do, when I want to get jazzed up, I just crack open my little friend here, and I just take a big hearty sip, Daddy.
Oh, and he's okay. May I ask what that is?
The devil's blood, baby.
The devil's blood.
And also like an old fashioned.
Oh, word. Okay. What? Well,
And let me say, if I can take it back, the Cosmopolitan, which I think it's
yeah.
I think it gets disparaged, and it's a drink people kind of laugh at when you order it at the bar. But personally, I think it's refreshing, delightful. Squeeze a little bit of lime in there. It's nice. Cosmopolitan, big fan.
I couldn't help but notice
with that kind of title.
Yeah, I couldn't help but notice your shirt, Rager.
Oh, you saw that?
Yeah.
Yep. I put the team on my back and I put the team on my chest, baby, right here. You know what's the real deal?
You wear your own merchandise?
I mean, I'm a pioneer in that way. I'm doing it first, but I won't be doing it last, baby. I'm the first domino in the stack, baby.
Okay. Well, I mean, Matt, do we have anything else for the Rager?
Well, if people watching have any questions, I'd love for them to send them in. But
yeah,
one question we should ask you is: there's been a lot of people and a lot of fans wondering what division you'll be playing in, if drafted.
So Spin from the Real wants to know what division the Rager's playing in. I hear that right? You want a little scoop, huh?
Sure.
I love some ice cream.
You want
love me some ice cream.
A little sweet tooth? You want me to give you a scoop?
Not with these guys.
You want a waffle cone or a cake?
I mean,
I'll take a waffle cone.
Waffle? Okay, well, you, Chris?
You said cake? I love cake of all kinds.
You want a cake waffle? Cake waffle cone? All right. I want a scoop, I'll give you a scoop. I've been a bit of a lone wolf, bit of a lone rider in life. No one ever helped me. No one ever gave me any respect or support my whole life. So the fact is, there's only one place for the Rager to go, and that's to compete in singles in the movie Trivia Schmodown. There's your scoop. Plop! Jerry on top. Boom! The Rager is aiming to compete in singles, baby.
I mean, sweet. Literally, sweet.
And we do have some questions coming in, and we'll go with the first one, which is from ASG 1982. Who would the Rager's ideal first opponent be?
Good question. Thanks, ASG.
Thanks for asking. My ideal first opponent, you know what? I look amongst my peers. I look at my fellow rookies, and some people would say I'm coming in with a chip on my shoulder, but at the same time, I think I'm coming in with something to prove. And I look at my fellow rookies, and I think I want to show everybody that I'm the best person here. I'm the one who deserves to be here. If you can only pick one, it's me. So I would love to go toe-to-toe with the other rookie that I think a lot of people are talking about, Brother Lomas. I would love to see what this is about. He preaches, but I ain't much of a spiritual man. I'd love to give him a chance to make me a believer, but I don't think it's going to happen. At the same time, when we're talking established Schmodown competitors, again, Andrew Guy. I would love to go head-to-head with Andrew Guy. I don't know where he's at. I don't know if he's safe. I'm not much of a spiritual guy. I do pray for him every single night. I hope he's okay.
We all do.
And if he ever comes back, if he's still out there somewhere, the Ranger would love to take Andrew Guy one-on-one.
I guess that actually leads me to a question that I'll ask you after you pop up Astro's question. Is Rick a big Kurt Russell fan?
Love Kurt Russell. One of my favorite films of all time. Of course, John Carpenter's The Thing. Love that. Escape from New York and L.A. Big Trouble. And one of the finest Santa Clauses of our generation. It's got to be said.
Rager, that's the most on-point thing you said this entire interview.
Thank you.
Well, the question I have now is because we just brought up Andrew Guy. What are your thoughts on the Schmominati?
Schmominati, Blominati, dude. I don't know what he's talking about, all right? I don't know anything about that. But if we're talking groups, if we're talking people who should be interested in having the Rager, let me be the first to say it. I'll join the Schmominati right now.
You can't say that. What?
Tweet at me, Schmominati. DM me. I'll keep your secret safe. My lips will be sealed. No one has to know. You know what? I would be happy to be in any faction. Maybe I could be in the Schmominati at the same time. I don't care. Who knows? My lips are sealed. It's a secret. Maybe I'm already in the Schmominati. What do you know? You don't know. Who knows? You can't see behind these eyes.
Oh my God, Pandora's box is just opened in my brain. I can't. I'm not even. You know what? I'm not even going to worry about it. Matt, do you have any other questions in the chat?
No, we don't have any other questions in the chat.
Sweet. Oh, geez, Rager. You said the S word multiple times. Now I'm fearful for the future of yourself and of us here at Spinfinner. Yes. we don't like to talk down on that group that you mentioned. Yes.
Shmominati?
No. Yeah, that one. Yes. You got it. But Matt, unless you have anything else for the Rager, then
we have Astro chiming in. Rick seems like a dungeon or den guy.
Dungeon or den. Look, it's like I said at the top, Daddy. Any group would be lucky to have me, but the Rager would be lucky to be in any group. I got no prejudices, no preferences coming into this thing. I'm thrilled, and I am grateful to throw down and prove myself amongst any faction in the Schmodown. So if the Dungeon or Den is interested, feel free. Get at me. Just maybe do it before the Shmominati does.
Yeah, stop saying that name. But yeah, I mean, I did want to reserve my thoughts on the Rager's future.
Hold on.
But
top 5
ASG.
If Rager wants to answer that.
If you feel comfortable answering. I mean, you have disclosed a couple, but would you like to fill out that list if you feel comfortable with it?
Comfortable? Who isn't comfortable? You guys comfortable?
Yeah.
I mean, I was until you started. Yeah, but go ahead, please.
Relax, baby. It's all good. Daddy's here to keep you safe. Top 5 movies. You know, it is true. Fight Club is one of them. It's no coincidence that I have it back there. Man, I'm a big fan of John Carpenter. The Thing, big one for me. Oh man, Jurassic Park. Love Jurassic Park.
It's a good one.
No Country for Old Men. Oh man, Ridley Scott, Alien. I mean, I think I already hit 5, but I could keep going. Yeah. I could keep going, and I have to do that. Obviously, I love horror movies. I love thriller movies. I like being on the edge of my seat, and that's the kind of sensation I want to inspire in the people who view the Rager. I want you on the edge of your seat. I want you compelled.
Well, you got me on the edge of my seat, on the edge of my futon. But again,
come hither, baby.
I will think about it. I'll let you know. But yeah.
So you knew. So let's go back a little bit. You knew ahead of time before it wasn't officially announced that you were going to be in this.
Perhaps.
Did it irk you at all when it got leaked out a little bit?
You know, it was a little bit of a surprise. I didn't know. I woke up that day just like any other. Put my robe on and went downstairs, made a little smoothie, just a plain day in the Rager's life. And suddenly, the phone starts going off. Bing, bing! Getting tweets, DMs, texts, calls. Everybody wants to know who the Rager is. And I'm just, it was a little overwhelming. It was a little surprising, but let's just say by the end of the day, the Rager was feeling really great about the landscape of things. He was feeling really great about his place in life, and good things are coming to the Rager, and as they should, because the Ragers earn them.
And we got another question popped in. Is Rick a big fan of '90s grunge era music?
Absolutely. We all listen to. That's a great question. I wonder what would inspire someone to ask the Rager that. I definitely grew up listening to Nirvana, wore a lot of sweaters, some ragged jeans, Mud Honey, like them. I never really got into Pearl Jam or Eddie Vedder, but, Nirvana was always, I love Nirvana, sure.
We're really trying to flesh out the Rager with his taste in music. I mean, I know we're here to talk Schmodown, but great question in the chat. But, oh my gosh, Rager...
Does the Rager have a Twitter or other social media to follow?
That's a great question.
It is a great question. And here's the thing. Rager, personally, no, I do not. My advocate, the man known as Taylor Cleek, I believe he has a show on this channel. I think he hosts the horror show. What is it called?
Yes.
What is it called? Really scared, I think. Really scared. In fact, I even think he's got Video Drew and William Bibiani coming on that show in January, if I recall.
Shameless.
He's got a Twitter. You know, when I'm not competing, you know, I like to really take some personal time and meditate, and all that stuff, all that tomfoolery, it's a little overwhelming, and it really kind of clogs my chakras. So there it is. Great job, Thomas. Got it scrolling along the bottom there. You can follow the Advocate of the Rager. You know, I did tweet out from that account today. Maybe the Rager look at his own Twitter one day. He's definitely gonna. His Facebook will go public soon if you wanna chat with me in the Schmodown Facebook group. But go ahead if you wanna get the scoops on the Rager. Go ahead and follow that Taylor L. Cleek Twitter account scrolling across the bottom. Makes me happy.
Yeah, Taylor Cleek, the Advocate, the man who got us this interview with the Rager, Rick Raddus. Rick, would you like to? Do you have a favorite? I know we ran down a bunch of Schmodown players that you admired earlier, but would you consider those your favorites? Do you have any favorites?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, again, you know, we can talk about the all-time greats all day. You can talk about the Merles and the Rokas, and again, like I said, I would even submit the Adam Collins. You know,
we love Adam Collins over here. Well, at least I do.
Yeah. We do. I mentioned earlier again, you know, people like Video Drew or Bibiani or Tom or Andrew Guy, people who don't just come in there or again, we said Snyder, right? Or Makuga, Dagnino, you know, people I've been compared to, no coincidence, people I've been compared to, or else people I'm a fan of. You know, that's just how it shakes out. When I see what they've done, what's possible, what they've achieved in the Schmodown, I think that's it. That's the pie in the sky, and I'm coming for a big bite. So I don't want to just come in here, get the answers right, spin the wheel, hey, get a belt or two. Yeah, that's cool. That's fun. But that's not what people come to see. People come to see somebody that they can cheer for or boo against. They come to see somebody that entertains, that gets them going, you know, gets their blood hot, and that's the Rager. And I love people who throw themselves into the Schmodown. It's not just about watching the movies and studying. That's important too. Don't get me wrong. But people who live it and breathe it and are larger than life, just like me. Those are the kind of competitors that I love.
So, Rager, I got to ask her, if you get drafted, are you going to be gunning for Rookie of the Year?
Did you even have to ask? Absolutely.
I mean, if it were to happen, you'd have some pretty big shoes to follow and fill as Rookie of the Year.
How big? What size?
Whatever size Adam Collins wears.
Oh, a little bit of a spoilie for Matt's thoughts on Rookie of the Year. Yeah, I mean, Adam Collins, he tore up the league. He showed up and he showed out 1,000% in the back half of 2020. I mean, he went undefeated in singles, and his one loss was by one question. One awfully impressive man. But I've talked about Adam Collins enough on the show, and I will continue to. Spoiler alert for the show. But do you have any thoughts on before Rick Rage? Rick Rage. Before.
What are you saying? Does Rick?
Rick Rage a lot at video games. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on Adam Collins? And do you play a lot of video games? Question by Asher on the chat. Do you rage at a lot of video games?
You know, I don't play a lot of video games anymore because I just got to spend a lot of time getting myself centered and meditating. I kind of leave more of the digital activities to my ragent Taylor Cleek. But you know, I've broken a lot of Wiimotes in my day, and you know, I got bills to pay. I can't keep breaking Wiimotes. Rough. What do I think about Adam Collins? Was that what you asked me?
Yeah. Like, because I mean, he showed up and showed out, and like what Matt said, he definitely set the standard, or at least set some type of bar for rookies going forward, whether they start the season or join halfway through, like he did. So I'm just curious into your thoughts on Adam Collins, because I mean, I talk about the dude every week to Matt's chagrin, but I want to know your POV on the Coyote.
Look, I think you summed it up right there, Chris. Adam Collins shows he set the bar for what can be expected of a rookie. Because I think the tendency is to see a rookie, and even if they do well, to think, well, there's only so far they can go. They can run a certain distance, but then they're going to fall off, and it's going to be up to the old guard to keep it going. Adam Collins proved that just ain't it, baby. You can start from the bottom and work your way to the top, and within the length of a single season, and prove that you deserve to be held amongst the all-time greats. You can come in and you can be a fresh face and a new personality, and you can beat Roka like it's nothing, right? You can work all your way all the way up to a championship match and beat Marl like it's nothing. So of course I admire Adam Collins. Of course I'm inspired. And again, the bar's set, and I'm ready to meet it. It's a tall order, but I got no problem reaching for it and getting that one off the shelf and bringing it down. So yeah, I admire Adam Collins. I think what he's done is incredible. It's incredible, and absolutely, I intend to come in with that same energy and that same fire. We know what's possible for a rookie, and I intend to keep that going.
And my last question, because you kind of halfway mentioned it, but Adam Collins came into a league that was stricken because of the pandemic, and everything now is similar to how it looks right now, how we're doing this interview. But how do you feel about the whole digital era? And I promise the last thing I'll ask you, but how do you feel about the digital era of the Schmoedown? Because obviously you've seen the studio stuff, and you've seen this. So what do you think of the StreamYard Zoom matches?
First of all, let me say, wear your mask. I'm kept up by this every single night. It weighs me down, and it terrifies me. Second of all, I feel very comfortable in this setting. Look, again, I'm in the Rage Cave. This is my natural habitat. I feel very comfortable here, and I think some of the greatest creativity and inspiration comes from restrained circumstances. It comes from having obstacles in your way. A one-to-one path, an easy journey, a quick trip. You don't really appreciate what it takes to get to the finish line. If you got hurdles in your way, if you gotta think on your feet. Once you get to the end, I've earned it, and I feel very comfortable. Is it ideal? No. Is it what the Schmoedown was set up to be? No. But just like the Schmoedown, I myself am very adaptable, and there's nothing I can't achieve from this location, doing it via StreamYard, and by the same token, I look forward to a day and time when I can get in the studio, when I can spin that wheel, not the peg, baby, live action style. I can't wait to be in the studio, but at the same time, I'm willing to wait as long as it takes, and I'm willing to do it like this. I feel very comfortable. Absolutely.
Well, while you were responding, we did get another question from ASG 1982. When Rick said he wants to do singles, was he saying he is not interested in teams at all? If not, who would be an ideal non-rookie teammate?
It's not to say I'm not interested in teams. I'm just kind of walking the path that I've had to walk my entire life, baby. You know what I'm saying? Would I be opposed to teaming up with somebody? Not at all. As to who I'd like to team up with, Rager's going to plead the fifth on that.
Word. Respect.
Okay.
Wait and find out.
Well, Chris, you got anything?
No. Thank you for coming on the program.
You're welcome.
This was definitely eye-opening, and best of luck to you. Best of luck, and if you get drafted, great, and all power to you, brother.
If you get drafted, we'd love to have you back on following that. So.
Totally, yeah.
Look, no matter what happens, when I get drafted, I'm going to remember where it all started. I'm going to remember who sat down with the Rager for the first time, and it's going to be Chris and Matt from Spin from the Rail. So I will come back anytime you want to have me.
Oh, you're too kind.
It's been a pleasure, fellas. And thank you for the opportunity. And as far as the Rager goes,
hold on.
The last of them. Not on this show, not on other shows, and not on the Schmoedown.
We actually did get another question in for you. How long did it take for you, Rick, to feel ready to compete in the Schmoedown?
Look, the fact of the matter is I've had a long time to develop my craft. I don't think it's any secret. I'm a man of the fan leagues. I've been able to get out there and get my hands dirty and see what it takes. It took a couple of months. It took a couple months for the Rager to really feel like he had what it takes. But once I got there, I knew it wasn't just a feeling; it was a confirmation. It was a revelation. As soon as Christian Harloff gave Rager the call and let him know that he was in, there was no doubts in my mind. So it took practice. All these things, all great things take practice. But my craft is owned, and I'm ready. I'm ready. There's no question, no doubts about it. The Rager is ready for the Schmodown. I guess the real question is the Schmodown ready for the Rager? Is the Schmodown ready to rage?
And I guess we'll find that out if or when you get drafted. So again,
sure. We'll find out
when I get drafted.
Yeah, we'll find.
Heard it from the man himself.
I hope the Schmodown's ready to rage.
Which fan
league did you play? If managers want to see your matches, plead the fifth. Plead the fifth. See, the thing is, I don't want people watching the Ragers tape, baby. I don't want anybody to have the premier scoop on me. This is what you get. You're going to get to know me like this, one-on-one. If you want to see how the Rager plays, draft him.
So, would you not send a manager your private tape if they asked for it? Or a link to that?
If a manager wants to slide in the Ragers DMs, he'd be happy to send them anything they want to see.
Wait a second. You mean just the matches?
I mean what I said.
1,000%.
Okay. ASG, I respect that.
Thank you, ASG. I respect you.
Word. But, Rager, don't want to take up too much more of your time. Again, thank you for coming on the program, and we hope to see you hopefully soon and in the Schmodown.
It's been from the real. It's been your pleasure. Movie Trivia Schmodown. I hope you're ready to rage, because Rick Raddus ain't going anywhere, Daddy. Get used to this face, because this is the face of Schmodown 2021, baby. No matter which faction gets their greedy little hands on the Rager, I ain't going anywhere, baby. So get used to it and look forward to it. It's inevitable.
Word. Well, fantastic. Again, thanks, and we'll chat soon.
Looking forward to it. You boys have a good night. Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That happened.
A great interview. Thank you to the Rager, Rick Raddus, for coming on, and thank you to his regent, advocate of the Rager, Taylor Cleek, for allowing us to get him on.
Yeah, I mean, jeez, that guy. Okay.
And I heard he is going to be on other shows going throughout the month.
Yeah, but I mean, this what just happened? I think I can say in confidence the Schmodown hasn't had someone like this before.
I haven't had someone like this in a while. Like, I see Christian's comparison, and I feel like you can throw a little bit of Guy into there also.
I was going to say, like, I was seeing, and this may be some hyperbole, but I like the Snyder. Yeah. You can keep the Snyder. I like the Dagnino. You keep the Dagnino. Let me, dare I say it, throw in a little Outlaw into that thing? Dare I say it, not John Roca, the Outlaw. Just a little bit. Just a tad. It's just like the little Salt Daddy type of thing. Just a little bit, you know. But my God,
in the comment or watching, please put in the chat, put in the comments. What were your thoughts on the Rager? How are you feeling about the Rager now?
Yeah,
gotten a chance to get to know him for a bit. We had him for about 40 minutes here. What are you guys thinking, and how are you feeling about the Rager? Do you want to see him in the Schmodown? Where do you think you should go? All that fun stuff.
Yeah, and Matt and I will give our 2 cents when we get to the Rager.
the draft.
Yeah, we'll chat because I definitely have some theories and I have some things I would like to say, especially after getting to talk to him. So Kaiser's a good one. Yeah. To me, and I don't want to. I would put Kaiser and like OG Tom and like Finstock in the same boat to an extent. Yes, they were. There were definitely answers, especially the ones he pled the fifth on. Like that was totally understood. Because he couldn't talk too much. He gave us more than what we expected. Honestly, Matt and we talked about it before the show started. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into, and the fact that he was halfway transparent with the Schmodown stuff and his the little bit of his interests. Because we've only got to talk to Taylor. Like we didn't get to talk to Rick or the Rager, excuse me. But it's going to be interesting to see how that whole thing pans out with him primarily. But Matt, I mean, we have a show to do now that the Rager Rick Raddus is out of here. Let's talk some Schmodown. Like it's been a big week.
Yeah,
big week. Oh my Lord and Savior!
I think it only makes sense to from here talk a little bit about these potential draftees that were announced.
Yeah, sweet.
So,
Good.
We just met the Rager, Rick Raddus. We just met him. Yeah, we met him all right. But there were other draft picks that were announced. We had Kofi Outlaw. I think Kofi Outlaw. I think her name is Kelsey Sterling. Sweet.
I'm familiar. Isn't Kofi Outlaw part of comicbook.com, if I'm not mistaken?
I believe so. There was a few people from comicbook.com who were announced.
That's dope. I like that. Like, I remember his time at Screen Rant, and when he announced the move to comicbook.com, and I like that the Schmodown's expanding out of the YouTube space, because I mean we're going to see some YouTubers in a second. And one of them really sticks out to me. We'll get to them in a second.
Thank you, Riley Silverman. Thank you, Leo.
Leo Logan in the chat, my main man. I see you on the Facebook, Leo. But I'm glad they're going away from YouTube and going away from the little geek space on the video side. Because obviously, comicbook.com, they do have video, but it's a lot of articles and stuff. Because I mean, Matt and I were no stranger to comicbook.com, so And Kofi Outlaw's work, I've definitely been checking that out. But Riley Silverman, I'm not too familiar with her, like a lot of these people. So I'm curious what she's going to bring, and I may sound like a broken record, especially with a lot of these people, especially the peeps that presumably came from the audition tapes. I wonder how they're going to pan out. And unlike the Rager, we haven't seen them do interviews yet. Maybe we can reach out to some of them and they can come and talk to us. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
So, Riley Silverman and Kofi Outlaw. I think just based off a look alone, you're hitting the ground running, especially with these new people.
Yeah. Moving on, we had Sonny and Kat from Copenhagen.
Damn right.
And Chris Van Vliet.
Yo, Chris Van Vliet. That is the main man. If you're a pro wrestling fan, you know who Chris is. Chris he's a fantastic interviewer, like a former ring announcer as well. He might still do ring announcing and stuff, but all our wrestling fans know who Chris Van Vliet is. And I was shocked. And I mean, this isn't a name that was like just dropped on Monday. We got to see his involvement. Not properly announced, but halfway revealed sooner than expected. I believe it was a couple weeks ago when we first got to see his name in the Schmodown in the same sentence. But it was a shock to me. I didn't know Chris is a big movie guy. Because I watch his interviews with pro wrestlers. He's great at his job. But it's just further tying that wrestling Schmodown web. Like it started with like Gilmore and Booker T, recently with Jericho, and Van Vliet's further emphasizing that. Cody Rhodes, I ain't forget about you doing Star Wars. I ain't forget. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. But Van Vliet coming in, that's dope. That's really, really dope. Sonny and Kat, on the other hand, if I'm not mistaken, they're two YouTubers. They do a lot of reactions. And I wonder if they're coming from the tapes, those the fan submissions, you know, or if Christian reached out to them personally, like the Rager. So I'm curious. But are they a duo? Do you have to draft them together?
No, I don't think so. I just think because they have their channel, they were announced together. And fun fact, I actually talked to Christian Harloff before, and I found out about the Rager and someone who we didn't have a graphic for, but I would want to bring him up. Brother Lomas.
Yes. Brother Lomas. That's another interesting character that we saw in the Facebook group.
Yeah. I can confirm that both of them came from the fan tapes.
Okay, sweet. So Lomas and Rager came from fan submissions. That's dope. But there's like I know we're probably not getting an answer to this, at least not yet.
Yeah.
But I wonder if like Sunny and Cat came from that, and some other names that we're going to mention throughout this.
Well, there's one other name that we're going to mention that we know for a fact came from fan tapes.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. But Sunny and Cat, and if I'm not mistaken, I saw Star Wars thrown around with them.
Yeah.
My presumption is that, is that a word? My assumption is that we're going to get a lot of Star Wars submissions because we talked about it on the show last week. It might have been last week.
Where even mentioned a lot of the were for Star Wars. That was like within the first week of him tweeting out about the fan submissions.
And especially after our conversation from the show last week, we're going to need more Star Wars people because there will be a lack of teams. And now that we have on paper from the horse's mouth that we're getting 3 matches a week, Monday or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, presumably one of them will be Star Wars because that's one of the 3 remaining divisions. Yep. And if we're going weekly Star Wars, you're going to need some people. And that's how you're starting your season. You're doing your Inner Geekdom, the pay-per-view to start with Mara and Chandru, and then you're doing Damon and Kelly. So Star Wars will have a big presence in the season this year, and that makes me a happy boy.
Hypothetically, we think so. It's
hypothetically, yes. We're trying. It only makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially with how Star Wars panned out last year.
And the hype that have been around some Dragon Con players who have not been confirmed yet, as far as we know, but have been talked about.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Before we move on, who are these people? Like, I see Dragon Con. It was mentioned on other shows. It's been mentioned on the Facebook, mentioned on the Twitter, mentioned on the subreddit. Who are these people? And I know Alex Damon, Molly Damon, they're familiar with them.
Yeah.
Alex, if I'm not mistaken, he used to compete at these things. So I'm familiar with Dragon Con, but are we getting just more? We're almost treating Dragon Con Star Wars players as its own draft pool.
So here, they're treating them as a threat because apparently they beat Alex Damon in Star Wars Dragon Con trivia. However, I did watch Call to Action this past Sunday, and Sean Sullivan, who is a current Star Wars competitor, talked about this. Hold on, we do have a comment.
Yes.
Donna, Chris, why are you yelling?
Oh, about what? Was it just this right now? Because I don't know who these people are. Like I see these, and I know we haven't got any names confirmed. Like, I competed at Dragon Con. I have beaten Alex Damon in Star Wars trivia. Not too many people can say they've done that. So I'm just curious, and I know Ferris. Come on now, like. I get
together. Hush.
But yeah, I saw y'all talk about some sports ball, and I want to see some people, and Dragon Con's been getting a lot of hype. Yeah, but
and I was just about to get into why. Sean Sullivan broke it down the other day in Call to Action.
Yes.
So, Dragon Con players, all of them have beat Alex Damon. One of those because it's. And then I'm getting into this and why when Sean further explained it, I don't view them as a threat.
Okay.
But one of them has won twice. The other 2 have won once.
Okay, so it's not like they beat Alex on more than 2 occasions, but because of the one case.
So, how Dragon Con Star Wars works is they give you it's all of Star Wars canon. and they give you multiple choice in almost every answer.
Oh, so okay. See that? I mean, and that's interesting. Okay, so they funnel you multiple choice, presumably with almost all the questions. Yeah, I'm still not willing to. If what you're saying is true, count them out.
I'm not willing to count them out. Yeah, but that's the other thing. There are multiple competitors at a time, so it's a little uneven.
Okay, so it's definitely different than how the Schmodown operates, and that will probably play a part.
Another thing Sean Sullivan brought up is there's almost like, or in the Schmodown, you have that strict 15 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. So the Schmodown, it's the big leagues, brother. If you're online competing in trivia, and if it happens to be movies or Star Wars, then odds are, you look at the Schmodown. So if these people are really bringing the heat, if they're packing that Star Wars heat, then all right. And how Matt and I think this season is going to pan out, we're going to need some names.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need some more faces and more names, and like Sean Sullivan and all Andres Kelly, both Damons, DeMolanta, like they can't carry the Scrimshaw, like all, like there's only such a certain amount of Star Wars players, and I think that's going to be busted wide open come the draft. There will be a lot of Star Wars specific, or they can play Star Wars types of players.
So,
and
adding on to that, we'll touch more on this later. We did get the rosters expanded from 10
to 12. Yes.
Sean Sullivan brought up the idea that you don't be surprised if you see 2 Star Wars players on a faction now.
Oh hell no! Yeah, I mean, oh hell no, I mean that's definitely going to be the case. And as much as I shouldn't say I hate it. I don't like faction infighting. I totally understand. I mean, obviously, you have a butt ton of singles, you're gonna have multiple teams.
Yeah. I don't think you'll get a lot of faction infighting within a Star Wars division. I'm gonna be
honest. Not, please. But
look at it this way.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have 8 factions. You are going to have, let's hypothetically say each manager picks 2 Star Wars players. That's 16. Realistically, you take one of those out because right now Alex Damon is the champion and he's not going to be fighting. He's not going to be playing as much as some of these other players would be.
Sure. Yeah.
At least straight out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, there is a possible titles or number 1 contender shot for Andrew DeMolanto. We'll see what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just one of those things.
I'm totally expecting we will have at least the majority of the factions take a second Star Wars player. My guy, what's going on, Colin? Yo, man, what's up, homie? But yeah, I'm totally expecting Star Wars to definitely make a big splash this year. I don't want to just speak any more hyperbole if I already have spoken any, but this year or this upcoming season will probably be the most important for Star Wars. Not that it's had, like, the Star Wars has been, I don't want to, for lack of a better word, the ugly duckling of the 4 divisions because it hasn't competed as much. It's saved for bigger events for good reason, but they don't compete. We don't get a weekly or bi-weekly Star Wars match. We don't.
And I think the tournament this past year is why that's changing. On top of
the 1,000%. That it kicked off the season.
I'm going to be bold right here.
Oh shit!
When Christian announced we were getting 3 matches a week.
Yes.
I think if we were in studio, it'd be 4.
Oh, you're really wow!
I feel like it would have been one in each division.
Holy God!
And then a tournament takes over for those few days, a week until the tournament's over, and so on and so forth.
Wow, 4 matches a week. Because there are going to be some weeks where we get more than 3 because of the pay-per-views that we're going to get scattered throughout the month.
Yeah,
3 a month, which is already freaking insane. But you're saying he would not double down, but he would like quadruple down on matches a week. So he'd be like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Monday, whatever the hell. Yeah. Like that'd be crazy as hell. Either way,
that's just a personal theory. That is a personal theory.
It's a damn good one.
It makes sense especially if we were in studio.
Totally. And either way, whether it's yours or whether they stick with the 3, or if 3 was always the plan in studio or not, Star Wars will have a bigger presence. 1,000%. And honestly, you can credit that to people like Ace, Laura, Molly, Scrimshaw, Demolanta, everyone that was in that Star Wars tournament, because they brought the heat and they made a believer out of me. So, and I've said on the show multiple times, I've been pretty stingy in regards to Star Wars, but as of late, especially this past season, Star Wars is going to be hella entertaining, and they need to expand, and not only with competitors, but probably with what material they cover too, especially with how things are going.
When I was on, I think I talked about this.
We really got off topic. We are going to talk about the other draftees.
Yeah, we did get off topic, but it tied into this. But anyways,
yeah.
Before we went live for the highlights on LGR the other night, I was talking with Ferris and Shug about this, and
so shout to Shug, shout to Ferris. What's up, homies?
And apparently Christian has confirmed they're not going to put Mandalorian on the wheel.
Oh, that would have been a lot of fun.
Because this is the movie trivia showdown, and I know
totally understand. Totally understand.
I know you and I talked about this outside of if he's going to put Mandalorian on the wheel, he's going to have to put the Marvel shows in the MCU slice.
Totally.
Yeah. So it only makes sense that we're not getting the Mandalorian on the wheel.
But it would have been a lot of fun. Like
it would have.
Yeah. No, I do. I totally understand. I mean, and it makes sense, the movie trivia showdown. But yeah, seeing them expand the universe would have been cool. But at the same time, they're reusing a lot of questions. They're reusing all the questions from the previous X amount of seasons. So I think they'll be fine for now. But maybe one day we'll see the Mandalorian and the Clone Wars and the Rebels pop up on a Star Wars wheel.
Already there, buddy.
The TV show, but we'll see. But to tie back into the original topic, maybe Sonny and Kat can tie into this new influx of Star Wars that I believe we're going to get, and I will expand more on my Star Wars thoughts when we go to free agency, because I may have some hot takes, maybe not, but we'll see.
Let's move on to these next few competitors. We got Cliff Barnes and Josh Horowitz.
I popped again, and let me translate. All my wrestling fans know what that means, but I got awfully excited. I made an audible reaction when I saw Josh Horowitz from MTV News. That was really, really cool. Seeing Cooper from Henry Danger? Is that what the show he was on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Schmodown, why are you just we have no idea what either one of these guys can bring in regards to movie trivia, what they can bring, but that's a name. That's similar to a Jericho. Maybe not as big as Chris Jericho, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a name like a Kevin Smith, like a Brittany Young. These are names where we can, if you're a manager, it's like, I'm thinking best for my faction, and I want some name some name powers. Like if I want to drop a name, Josh Horowitz from MTV, like a Cooper Barnes. That was his name. I don't want to missay his name. That was his name, or Cooper Barnes from Henry Danger. Like that's hell yeah. Like I'm all about it. I am all about it. Seeing some new faces and some new names from different things. So I'm so in it. Yeah. Give me some more peeps. I want to see some more fresh faces. 1,000%.
All right, and next up we have Amon Frost and Sean Chandler.
There's been a lot of hype behind Sean Chandler the last couple days. I'm not familiar with either one of these two or their work. I am aware they're on YouTube.
I know Amon is from YouTube.
And I'm aware that Sean is from YouTube as well. Sean has his own channel. I apologize, Sean. I have not checked out your stuff yet. But I hear a lot of hype about Sean. I'm seeing a lot of hype. I want to see what these guys can bring. Is Josh Hurwitz a name, thou?
Though,
No, he said he typed thou Ferris. You want to talk smack by me yelling? I can do whatever I want. Thou Ferris, Josh Horowitz. That is a name technically. Yes, that is a name. But these two peeps, two other YouTube peeps, maybe Sean or Iman, maybe they're Star Wars peeps too. Because we didn't get any divisions out of these peeps. That's the thing. We saw these draftees and we didn't get any divisions attached to them. I guarantee managers know more so than we would. But I'm curious. But I've seen a lot of hype behind Sean Chandler. I've seen a lot of love, a lot of people saying that he can do good, he can do well. So I'll keep my eyes on Sean. I reserve the right to change my mind on Iman because I don't know what she's capable of. But Sean Chandler, I see people talking about you, bro. 1,000%.
All right, and moving on to the next pair is Tom Chattelbash and Abby Corinne. I hope I said his last name right.
I thought you got pretty darn close. Again, two more peeps that I believe Abby. She's also from YouTube. She might work with. She might do stuff with Iman, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say.
So that and Tom, he was more so. He was part of the Tuesday reveals, correct? Him, Abby, and Iman, they were part of the Tuesday reveals because Monday, Christian's like, "Oh, y'all want draft names?"
The only Tuesday reveals they were.
Oh, there are only 3. Okay, cool. So, Christian's not announcing these people unless they bring some type of credibility. Granted, we don't know if they come from the fan auditions, but if they don't, then they obviously had to have proven something beforehand to where Christian's like, yo, yeah, come do some movie trivia. If you're that good, come do it. So I'm curious, and I'm interested. None of these people have given me a reason to be like, really? So, yeah, I reserve the right to change my mind later. But maybe if we see these peeps pop up on other shows, we can get a better insight on what they're capable of. Or if they want to come on Spin for the Real and do that, either way, I'm more than happy to come and talk to them about the future and their potential future in the Schmodown, because at the same time, none of these names are guaranteed to be in the season.
Right. And we even cover that with the Rager. None of these are guaranteed. These are just draftees, though he's hinted that it looks like a minor league is going to happen, so we could end up still seeing these people play.
More Schmodown, baby. So yes, if there is a minor league of some sorts, then we still, yeah, you're right, we totally see these people play. But in regards to just the Schmodown major leagues, the main roster, as one would say, there's no guarantees, even with the Rager. And all these other peeps, as far as we're concerned, are all in the same boat. And Brother Lomas. Which, by the way, I didn't get to mention this with the Rager interview, but Brother Lomas, from our wrestling fans out there, again, gives me hardcore Paul Bearer vibes. He's really preachy. I mean, that's the character, you know. But he reminds me a lot of Paul Bearer, and it's going to be interesting, like how the Rager, like the Snyder, Finstock, Kaiser. I forgot who mentioned it, but someone mentioned Kaiser. That's another good one. The Outlaw, Wildman. I don't see the Wildman too much. I get where Christian's coming from, but I'm not too keen on that one.
I see a little bit of the Wild Man when it comes to the chugging hot sauce and doing crazy things like that.
Sure, but
especially the hot sauce.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah. Josh McCougar's no stranger to hot sauces, but all those peeps they're going to make some type of splash. We're going to definitely come on this show at the end of January or early February and talk about how these people got drafted into certain factions. So we'll see what happens then, or if we hear them on other shows or on our show talk about what they want to do, then great. But until then, a lot of these peeps are relatively unknown in movie trivia. But another thing I want to talk about the Rager real quick before we actually get into the free agency portion of this discussion is I forgot who mentioned it in the chat. I want to say it was Astro, but correct me if I'm wrong. He said, or they said Dungeon or Den, and I get hardcore Dungeon vibes
Yeah, dungeon I can agree with. For me, it's the dungeon, it's the exchange, and corruption. Those are the three that I feel like vibe the best.
I think. I'm one corrupt kid. I mean, all these people are chucking hot. Yeah, Ferris. Yeah.
He did, after this is over, watch his interview. He chugged some hot sauce.
So much has happened since we last talked to you. But I think anyone can work well with corruption if you're cool with embracing your corrupt side of your personality. Because trust me, I'm all one for a good personality, and what corruption does, that's a lot of it. But like Rager and corruption, yes. But a lot of the people that we just saw can fit into that mold. Brother Lomas can fit into that mold. We saw him with his promos in the follow-up video that he did. And I see you, Brother Lomas, out here already talking your smack to Jeff Snyder of all people. That's one hell of a splash to make in the Facebook chat, brother. Oh, hell yeah. Him and you got Bibbs on that too. Granted, you weren't talking smack to Bibbs, as you shouldn't. But talking smack... Yeah, Bibbs is a treasure. No one shall touch him. But Snyder, on the other hand, he welcomes that stuff, and he'll definitely clap back at you.
He got a target on his back, just hit right in the center for us all.
Yeah,
let's keep moving on.
Please, by all means.
Because we got 3 slides left. We have making his return is Demi. I'm not even going to attempt to say the last name, but Demi's coming back. He was technically drafted last year. We didn't get to see him play. And he showed some promise in IG, if I remember correctly, 2 seasons ago.
Yes.
But the other man up here is one that fans are really excited for, and that's John Flickinger.
Demi being one of the names that we saw a returning face in the Schmodown. We didn't get to see too much of him. Like you said, this past season, we didn't get to see any of him at all. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is a reset for you, Demi. So do what you got to do. Reset entirely. You're a familiar face. You have that with you. You have a proven track record in the Schmodown. I will not be surprised if he gets picked up. Honestly, I will put him above a lot of the peeps that don't have that track record. He's already familiar with the Schmodown. So I totally expect Demi to get picked up by someone or another, especially someone that can emphasize that inner geekdom portion of his game. But John Flickinger, right? He's probably, if it's not Van Fleet, he might be. And one actor that we're gonna mention in a second, but he might be one of the big. He's one of the bigger names that Christian mentioned. A shock, a total shock. And for those who watch the movie review channels on YouTube, you're no stranger to John Flickinger. I remember him and Stuckman. I found them both at the same time, and I mean they've crossed over multiple times. And John Flickinger, he's talk about personality, he's you just look at that man and just watch his videos. You definitely get the charisma just oozes off your screen. So John is going to be one of those interesting picks. He reviews movies for his YouTube channel, constantly, and he's been doing that for years now. Can he back that up? We've seen Stuckman come into this before. We've seen people like CinemaSins guys come in and do stuff like this before. Jeremy Johns, and now we're getting Flickinger. So,
yeah, we talked about that. He played last in 2019. We just haven't seen him since. So
yeah, and we haven't seen him in a hot second. But again, he has that proven track record, unlike a lot of these new people coming in. So Demi has to step up on a lot of these people. But Flickinger, he's going to be one big question mark. Is he going to bring that heat that he can from his YouTube channel, which he probably will, because he's he's a big personality. But the movie trivia, has he done anything like this before? We've seen Stuckman do it, but that was a long time ago. The game has changed so much since.
I have a theory, and this is just from being local and knowing.
Hit me with it.
I think Stuckman could be in the next batch of announcements. Since we're digital.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know this channel, we do more than just we have a movie review show, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I am in Cleveland, Ohio. I am on the critics list for screenings in Cleveland, Ohio. and I would regularly see Chris Stuckman at screenings and talk to him about I remember talking to him about Joker after Joker. I talked to him about a few films, and I wouldn't be surprised from what he made it sound like whenever we've talked, because he knows how big of a Christian Harloff fan I am. It sounds like he still has a good working relationship with Christian, so it wouldn't shock me if we see Chris.
I wouldn't be too surprised. I'd definitely be like, whoa, like Suckman's back, baby. But the game has changed a lot since he's done it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Chris Stuckman seems like a busy guy, so I don't know if he's kept up with the Schmodown ever since. And we'll see if he transferred some of that knowledge to Flickinger.
Yeah. I mean,
if one big if, this is one big hypothetical.
The only reason I brought that up is because I'm pretty sure I've met Flickinger a few times with him being around Stuckman, and I didn't even realize who he was.
And you didn't realize it was John Flick? That dude's jacked. Like,
I never knew who John Flickinger was until the other day when he was announced.
Yo! Oh my! I'm sorry. I'm yelling. Yo! My God!
Eric Whiteley and Frankie Alvarez are two of our other rookies announced. Eric's from Blind Wave, and I don't know where Frank is from, actually.
Basing on that video, that picture alone, again, both of these men coming from the YouTube space, I saw, like, alongside Sean Chandler, is that his name? I already forgot his name.
Sean Chandler.
Yes. Eric Whiteley has been getting a lot of love on social media as well from the Facebook group, and primarily on Twitter. I saw a lot of it on Twitter. So, Eric, I don't want to lump you in with Sean, but there's been some hype. And like that can sink you, or that could take you to new heights. So, Eric, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing you play. Frankie, I'm not familiar with Frankie Alvarez. We love seeing more Latinos in the Movie Trivia Schmodown. So, hopefully he gets picked up just for Latino's sake and my own sake. But I want to. I'm curious, more so with Eric, because I saw Eric's name pop up a decent amount the day he got picked up, or the day he got put on the draft list.
Fair enough. All right, and this last batch of rookies we have to talk about is one we had to put in the same graphic because fans are going to be excited. We got Beth May. It is official. We have Beth May coming into the draft after those phenomenal videos she put in the Facebook group. And, of course, we can't go without mentioning PWH himself. Paul Walter Hauser of Cobra Kai and Spike Lee films such as Black Klansman and The Five Bloods fame coming. Oh, and we got to mention Richard Jewell. Can't forget.
Yeah, the Rager mentioned Richard Jewell.
So, Paul Walter Hauser coming into the draft. I'm so excited about that.
Paul Walter Hauser is probably the most anticipated name of the bunch because of his name.
Yes.
And he's no stranger to SCN. He's no stranger to being one-on-one with Christian Harloff. So seeing Paul Walter Hauser in this is going to be really, really cool. Another person who will be picked up, odds are, because of who they are. So I'm looking forward to seeing Paul Walter Hauser play. I loved his interview with Christian on the channel.
That was a great interview.
Like it made me want to go check out more of his work, including Cobra Kai. Don't kill me, I haven't seen Cobra Kai yet.
Hey, there's Wi-Fi on the plane tomorrow, right?
I can download. I already downloaded some movies for me to watch. I might
remove the movies, download Cobra Kai because season 1 comes Friday, and you know
I know Matt's King Spoily, so we'll get to that when the time comes. But Beth May, I said in the show, right, that her videos were so funny. Like I'm like, yo, like, is she putting on like is this her? Is she putting on a character? After she got announced, obviously, we're gonna look into these people, and that's what the case was, right? She was no stranger to the YouTube space. I saw that she's done some stuff with Elise and James Willems, Funhouse, from a Funhouse peeps out there. Funhouse also no stranger to the Schmodown. But seeing Beth May on here with Paul Walter Hauser, that's a good pairing for fan anticipation. talk about someone else who will get picked up just because of the splash they made. Yeah. It's like Lomas, May,
Rager,
Wyatt Lee, Chandler, I think will get picked. Demi, obviously Paul Walter Hauser. Like, I think there are going to be some players or some people that get picked up solely because of their personality, right? And whether we've seen them do movie trivia or not, I don't know if Beth May's done that. Like, I don't know if she's done other fan leagues or if she's done other things like that. But I totally anticipate her getting picked up solely because of her personality. Corey Jandro, I'm looking at you. So that's really all we can say about Beth May besides the fact that she made one hell of a splash in the Facebook group, more so than anybody else did, honestly.
Yeah.
So it was one hell of a Monday going into Tuesday. It was a hectic 24 hours.
And then we got the big news, and that was that the rosters had been expanded, which
yes,
I'm glad to hear. I feel like
that
was the right move to do.
Yes.
But realistically, what it also does is basically give us the equivalent almost of 2 more teams.
Almost.
And so
yeah.
It's realistically, because remember, you didn't have to. Realistically, it is 2 separate teams because you didn't have to fill out all 10 spots. You didn't have to. You can stick to 7.
Yeah.
So it feels like we're getting 2 more teams. Realistically, one's just the half of that total is replacing the Droogs.
Yeah.
Adding 8 more competitors. I love it. Gotta love it.
I've said in the show before that I wasn't a fan of them not replacing the Droogs because I like the idea of more people. And that was my big concern. If anything, if I concerned going into season 8 was that not as many people were going to participate because we saw a 9th faction throughout this year, and I like the fact that we got to see lots of people. And I know if we were in studio, that would have been doubled down. So now that we got 2 more people per faction, I just STFU, like I'm like, all right, like that's what I want. I'm getting what I want.
Out the window.
Yeah, I'm getting. I as much as I would have loved my theory of the Droogs still being a team and the Schmominati to be a different faction, I honestly think that getting just those 2 more people per faction will easily make up for at least one of those, because you're making that's 16 people, so that's obviously a whole other team, and then some, almost a second. So seeing the official confirmation just casually on Twitter, as things are nowadays, I got excited because not only does it really emphasize how important those top 3 are to set the standard for the rest of your faction. Like you pick 3 players, those are your anchors going forward, not only in points or in gameplay, but in the setting that you want for your draft. Like those 3 players, because now we're not just picking 7, we're picking 9. We're picking 9 new people, presumably. Everyone's going to pick 9 new people. So 9, what's that, 8 factions? That's 72 people. Like, that's crazy. On top of the 3 locks that people are getting. And we'll get to the rumors that have been flying around, that have been running wild, brother, all over the last few days. But the fact that all those people are going to get picked up, or hypothetically all those people get picked up, is really exciting to me. And the draft pool is going to be large.
Yeah, we're going to have, when it's all said and done, we're going to have a roster for Schmodown of 96 people. That's going to be the active roster. That's not even counting the possible minor
hypothetical,
league.
Yeah.
The hypothetical, the possible minor league that's been talked about.
Yeah.
It's my camera.
No, you're good.
There we go.
There you go.
But yeah, this is insane.
No, and the fact that there's almost 100, and my boy's probably gonna want that. Christian Hall is gonna want that crisp of 100 people, because that's a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And now you're doing 3 matches a week. You're gonna need it.
Possibly 4 in some cases, like
possibly 4, possibly 5. So, you're gonna need those people to fill out those matches. Everyone, unlike last season, unlike season 7, I believe everyone will get at least one match.
Yeah. Let's break this down. So, let's say we're getting let's say we still get the single tournament and we get an equal closer to the end of it. We have those leading up to if they're still digital.
Matt, I don't know unless it's me or if it's you. You sound like you were drowning for a little bit. Chat, if you're still here, now you just mute.
I think it's you, bud.
There you go. Now I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's you. What I was saying is, realistically, if we're still digital at say the middle of the year for 2021, I think you'll see a Star Wars tournament, a singles tournament, and a IG tournament.
1,000%. Especially after the success of the ones this past season. Hell yeah!
But that's just, in my opinion, if we're digital. So, like I said, let's say that's a 6-month mark, and if you're getting one match a week from each of those divisions, 52 divided by 2, that gives you 26 matches. And who's to say we don't go back to the old days where maybe one of those days is doubled up on, like, for example, singles. So I'm looking at singles specifically as a day where we'd see like an undercard and a main card on just the Friday.
Man, those matches would be long as hell.
Yeah, but remember, we used to get those. It didn't even have to be a
we did.
We used to get those.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be a way to help get everyone a match. You'd have these hypothetical 26 matches played before a said tournament.
Yeah.
And then you'd have all those tournament matches. Like,
people will have the opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And that's what further and it's great, right? Like, as a fan, like, I love seeing as many people as possible. I love being introduced to new people. I think that's why I got so excited watching all these folks get announced, because I'm like, like, these are all new folks, with the exception of Demi, who got to play a couple seasons ago. Like, these are essentially all new folks. Like, and we aren't going to know how they play in the Schmodown. And that's just the beginning of the draft list, let alone all the names. And I saw Leo Logan's comment. Leo, we'll get to your comment in a second. We'll get to your question. But there are going to be a lot of people that aren't in the top 3 of the factions that are in the top 20, top 24. So all of those folks are going to go into the draft as well. So it's going to be one big amalgamation of a bunch of new faces, bunch of faces who have followings on YouTube or however they choose to show themselves on the internet, or it's going to be like actors like Paul Walter Hauser, like these bigger names, Cooper Barnes, like these bigger names who are doing stuff, but they still haven't competed in the Schmodown. So I'm so intrigued at the future of the Schmodown, because not only will there be so many people, like, I got so damn excited when Christian's like, yeah, there'd be 12. Like, I got so excited. I forget where I was at. I don't know where I was at, but I was like, yo, like, this is hard. Like, this is really, really cool, because we're gonna be showing some new faces, and as much as I love the Schmodown the way it is, keeping it fresh will be better for the Schmodown going forward.
Yes.
And making 12 people, having 12 people per faction, will help keep it fresh.
Yes.
But my God, that was one big ass, like, it doesn't sound too crazy on paper, like, oh yeah, 2 more people in the draft, but it's 16 people on top of everything else that was going on.
Yeah.
So, like, this would be one hell of a season 8, 1,000%.
Yeah. And I think Leo Logan's question is the perfect segue into what we're going to be finishing the show with. How about Tom not returning to compete for next season? Yes, we're getting to these confirmations and rumors. So, Christian confirmed, I think it was yesterday, that Tom will not be back for this upcoming. Which sucks. because Tom was one of the most interesting competitors, and he's a great competitor.
Great personality, great at movie trivia.
Yeah.
And now that leaves a hole, at least in our presumptive top 24, because we had him going to, I believe,
Back to the Den.
And we're going back to the Den with Video Drew and Lon Harris. But that changes everything. But before we talk about our hypotheticals from last week, Tom's reasoning for leaving the Schmoedown wasn't announced, as it shouldn't be, because I guarantee it was a reason that we don't need to know. But it is a bummer that hopefully he'll be back for the 2022 season, because Tom, like you said, is one hell of a personality, one hell of a player. He was really entertaining to watch, especially during that singles tournament. That man was a trip. So seeing Tom not be part of the Schmoedown was a bummer, but I guarantee he had more than enough good reason. Hopefully he'll be back.
Agreed.
But can we before we talk about the other rumors and stuff, can we at least try to figure the hell out our Den now?
No, we can save that. We can,
dude. But
hear me out. Hear me out, because we're gonna have that show right after, or that show right before the.
I want to dedicate a whole show to talking about the Den unless Kay wants to come on and talk about the Den.
We don't have to dedicate a whole show, but it can be part of it. Because we're going longer than we normally do already, and we still got some rumors to talk about. So
the one thing I'll say before we inevitably bring it up on another show, my theory of Marisol and Janine's not as outlandish as it was last week. Now that this new thing has gone on, Video Drew may still be a part of the top 24, but let's not forget Marisol and Janine the Machine. That's what I'll say. I'll piggyback off my own thoughts from last week. But let's talk about some rumors. We got some rumors to chat about because there have been a lot of stuff going on from Frankie Numbers, from David Sackwriter, that have been pretty, I don't want to say earth-shattering, but it's given people a better idea of what could come about when the free agency special comes out on the 22nd. We don't know if it's going to be live or if it'll be pre-taped, but either way, we're getting some type of special the 22nd, and I am intrigued at some of these, especially when it comes to a guy that we had on our graphic, Ben Bateman. Honestly.
Yeah, I was just about to say the one that sticks out the most is because David has written about this twice this week. Mm-hmm. A Ben Bateman return to the exchange.
Hell no. Like, what? Unless he swerved the hell out of us, during the damn Merle match. Like, I don't buy it. Like, that's when he said that.
Here, you want to know the only reason I buy it?
You buy that?
There's a name and a reason to why I buy this. We've had him on the show.
Oh my god, man.
And that's the Barbarian.
Dude.
I think with the potential of the Barbarian staying and Dan out of the picture, it makes Ben a little bit more comfortable coming back.
Remember what we said last week about Ben Bateman and how he wants to be the alpha dog?
Yeah. And Leo, I agree. It makes no sense.
Thank you, Leo Logan, my best friend.
But at the same time, the Barbarian hinted at it. Seemed, when we had him on, it felt like he was hinting at that their fates seem somewhat tied.
And maybe that's pertaining to the Barbarian leaving the exchange, but not because Bateman's not going to go back. I would honestly, as a fan of Bateman, and after everything we said last week, we both put Ben Bateman at S tier. Like we both think really highly. We're both fans of Ben Bateman. And we said last week, you said last week, that he wants to be the alpha dog. You get that vibe. With John Roca on your faction, there's no way in hell you're the alpha dog. There's no way. No way! Because it's John! Whether how he plays or not, it's the outlaw. He's going to be the alpha in your faction, not Ben. How we had Ben last week, that's how I see Ben rocking. He should get as far away from the exchange as he possibly can. Dagnino failed him this season. He's been vocal about that. And you want to go back because of one person? I don't buy it. I don't buy that. Yes.
He is at the front portion of this interview. You can go this episode. You can go ahead and rewind it and hear his interview after we're done.
Yeah, he's like the first 45 minutes. The Rager was with us for a long time, but I don't buy the Bateman stuff. The Bateman to the exchange. I don't buy it.
I don't believe it, but I have reason enough to buy it due to the Barbarian.
I think his interest to work with the Barbarian does not outweigh his disdain with working with Roka and Finstock, because let's be real. Finstock's drafted in the exchange, and obviously with how this past season panned out, people thought they were going to run away with the whole faction war, the whole faction race.
If Ben is on the exchange, I think Roka ends up being one of the most valuable free agents there is.
Oh, so you think he'll boot, but that's still Finstock. So you think they're working us, that all this Finstock hate is just a front, and that it's to boot Roka? Because that'd be one hell of a bomb to drop at the free agency special. That Roka's like, no, I don't want to do that, and goes somewhere else. Then the whole show that we did last week is blown up.
Here, I feel like it'd be another Gucci bomb, where Gucci's like, if we feel like he's about to announce John Roka, and then who does he announce instead? Ben Bateman. And then you have a pissed off Roka. I thought we were in the. He's like, no, you're over the hill. You're done. He's a more recent singles champion than you. This, that, and the other. He has the drive. I'm pairing him with the Barbarian, and then he goes after Demolanta. And then what does Roka do? Does Roka have contingency plans? It would be very interesting to see Roka in that position, especially after the 4th round incident last year.
Yo.
Here's the other thing. Would that now shift Roka to the draft?
Hell, no way.
I'm just saying this because what if it was so last minute? What if John wouldn't have any contingencies? There's stuff like that you have to take into account.
He's going to, who is the first pick? Dungeon? Yeah, he's going to the dungeon. Like what? Like on the hypothetical.
This is hypothetical. This is
one big hypothetical. One big. Obviously, we're speculating on a rumor. So let's keep that in mind. Like David Sackrider could have just gotten that from the troll under the bridge. You know, like I don't want to know because that could be a lie. But on the hypothetical, if Bateman goes back to the exchange, first of all, my brain would melt. Roka would leave. It'd be the biggest face turn of Dagnino's career. He'd still be a heel, but he'd be a face in my eyes. And then Roka hypothetically falling into the draft.
It would be so interesting. And think about the fire it would light under his ass.
Because backstage yesterday, I only got to catch the end, but someone asked about Brandon Hanna being the number 1 pick of the draft, which I could totally see that.
If he falls,
I can see it.
Yes.
If he falls, I could again, like three division player, totally understand. But like we're comparing Brandon Hanna, like if you're like not to throw any shade to Brandon, but if he was the speculated number 1 pick, and then you throw John Roka into that. All right, Dungeon, you're starting off hot. You're starting with the top 4. Like, it doesn't even matter who. Like, I forgot who we had in the Dungeon last week.
Right here, give me one.
Please, yeah. Like, the Dungeon plus a Roka hypothetically with the 1 pick, if it's that late.
So realistically, what we have is just switching spots. We had Parker.
Yes.
Preston, and
yeah.
Brittany.
See, and that's why everything you just said right now, like in the last 5 minutes, I want it to be garbage because after that show, I wanted Preston Bateman so bad.
So did I.
So bad. Like honestly.
As bad as Roka wants Damon's ass.
Yeah. Like I want Preston Bateman's so bad, and Robert Parker's gonna have Robert Parker might bounce back super hard come 2021. So he may be one scary mofo.
His way.
No, because let's be real.
And Smets has said he wants to be to Kaiser what Cushing is to Levine.
Yeah. Oh, and we'll get to Rachel Cushing in a second. But the Preston Bateman thing, I want it to happen so bad. That's why I don't want to even think about the exchange stuff. But at the same time, it has to be a thought in Ben's brain, especially if you can boot John Roca after those crazy thoughts about the founding fathers and the exchange, and Ben Bateman even at Spectacular. So we'll see. But Bateman to the exchange, I'm selling the hell out of that. I'd give it a crisp 15% of it happening, because I think a Kaiser Bateman Preston trio would be insane. But you mentioned Kevin Smets possibly being the Rachel Cushing to like a Rachel Cushing-esque role in the Schmodown, but that might not even be the case next year, because there are some people hypothesizing, or like they're in the lab.
Coming out of retirement.
They're in the lab, and they're throwing out 3 names I'm going to throw at you. Rachel Cushing being one of them, Clark Wolf being the other one, Drew McWeeny being the other.
Drew McWeely's not happening. Even Craig told us that. Craig, the Barbarian, told us Drew McWeely's not happening. 2, David Sackrider, the one who initially reported on Clark Wolf, said yesterday on Backstage that a Clark Wolf return is not likely. And he also shut down.
He didn't say no.
No, he said, my source told me it is like a moonshot. It's not likely to happen.
I want to know who this source is.
And 3rd, I'm saying this based off of when I got to talk to Sam Levine face-to-face, man-to-man back in March. It seems like he and Rachel are done with competing, because they like where they're at right now.
Totally. But it's fun to speculate.
I can't speculate on things where I'm like, it doesn't, none of it. It's just.
Well, please, allow me. Rachel Cushing, if it's not Dan Murrell's best of all time, dare I say it may be Rachel. Like, and this is coming from someone that, because of Rachel's success in all 3 divisions, cool it, close your eyes. Like, okay, cool, leave me be then. So Rachel Cushing has done some incredible things in movie trivia Schmodown. If she already isn't the best Intergeekdom player of all time, she's one of them. She's a former tag champion, damn near close to a singles championship. Like, Rachel Cushing's had so much success in the Schmodown, and Dan's only competed in 2 divisions. Rachel's competed in 3. Rachel's top 3 best players of all time. Like, you can't. I think you can't dispute that. If she were to come back hypothetically in this fun fantasy world that I'm creating, then I totally expect her to go with Sam. It only makes sense. Go to the suspects, but that would blow everything that we did last week out of the water. We have to redo the whole show if Rachel were to officially come back. But we won't find that out till late January, at least if how I think it's going to pan out, it's going to pan out. Clark Wolf, that's the one where I'm like, meh. She has a role in the Schmodown, and I think she'll stay that way. She's the commissioner. She's out here rocking. I think she will stay that way. Especially with her popping up at Spectacular, that was like the nail in the coffin.
And it should be mentioned that someone brought up, it might have been Ben on SCN this week, that Clark is no longer in LA.
Oh, Matt's back. But she's in Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. But still, she's out here doing her acting stuff. Totally good on you, Clark. She will be Lois Lane one day, at least hopefully. Because dope. But
you're better one than we have in the CW already.
You need to stop talking shit. Okay, but I think Clark's good to where she's at. And honestly, if we were going to write her off as commissioner, they would not have given us that little bit at Spectacular.
No, I think you can handle being the commissioner from afar, because all that is
1,000%
and Zoom meetings, Zoom calls. That's fine.
So Clark, I'm not worried about Clark. Drew McWeeny, like he made his he retired. He wasn't going to compete anymore after the stuff with the family. In my opinion, really throwing off Andrew Guy's career trajectory. Like, didn't know where Andrew was going to go until my man got captured, and I hope he's all right. But Drew, I see it more likely that Rachel comes back, and even that I think is it's not likely. I don't want to say unlikely, but it's not likely at all. Because especially after what you said with Sam, and if she does come back, it would be with Sam. But she's rarely on. She was announced for backstage, but she hasn't been on backstage lately for whatever reason. But
she does have a day job. It could be work related.
Totally, she does have. She has her own, a lot of these people have their own stuff going on. I totally understand. And I guarantee it's what happened with Drew. Like, Drew got caught up in like he was rocking with his own life, as he should, and he had to step away from the movie Trivia Schmodown. Totally understand. Two people who have close ties with Sam Levine. How about that? And if they were to come back, that'd be, God. So on the hypothetical, it would be fun to see Rachel and Drew come back, play for Sam. That'd be, that'd be insane. But I don't see it really. That would be one hell of a shockwave. Legitimately, it would rock the Schmodown, and I don't think our little hearts are ready for that. That's why, what we did last week, I stand by it, with the exception of the Den. We'll have to talk about that later. But those people coming out of retirement, maybe not. But it is fun to think about, especially if it's two people that are directly tied with Sam Levine. One of them being a significant other, the other one being Rachel Cushing. That's a joke. So it's fun to talk about, but the future of a lot of these bigger name players. I know Dan is still if it's not Ben, it's Dan, the biggest question mark in regards to the future of their career in the Schmodown. Is he going to try and be on the same faction as Mara? And if what we got a confirmation, not a confirmation, but Kevin Smith will probably be towards staying with the Mercs, so that leaves Mara Kanopic's future in question. And honestly, if I'm a faction, if I have my own little faction, if we have the Lopez losers, right, and we're the ninth faction and we're rocking, and I have the opportunity to have Dan Murrell and Mara Kanopic and the respective divisions kick ass.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna come at you with something Mara said yesterday on backstage.
Please.
She and Dan like to keep their Schmodown factions. They
don't want to be in the same faction together.
Yeah, they don't want to be in the same faction because they want to be able to set their own legacies and not be tied to each other.
Sure, totally. No, and I get that, but wouldn't it be dope? It would be. No, why would we know? What?
The reason I say no, Dan has said he is going to IG this year.
That
to me, that's faction and fighting. I want nothing to do with it. So, I'm
going off the thing where Dan's, because until Dan competes in IG, I'm going to consider him a singles and teams player. So, because people have said they're going to compete in other divisions before, and it didn't happen. So I will wait until Dan competes, and we'll go from there. Unless Dan Morrow tweets, or if he tweets or goes on one of these shows and says, "I am competing in Geekdom next year," fact. Then okay, cool. And if he has done that before, I haven't seen the clip, but until then, I will stand by my POV. Hypothetically, obviously Mara and Dan don't want to be tied together when it comes to the Schmodown. Great. But that'd be one hell of a base for a faction. And if I'm a manager, I'm at least trying to talk them out of that, because there's so much success that could happen. Dan, obviously, being the greatest of all time. Mara Kanopic being one of the best Geekdom players. We saw a similar run to Adam Collins before in Geekdom, and now it's Mara Kanopic. And we'll see what she's capable of against Chandru. That's going to be one hell of a showcase for both of them, honestly. having Chandru play off against someone who was a pillar of Inner Geekdom for a while, and Mara facing off against the face of the new Inner Geekdom division. So that's going to be a big proving ground for her. But what I know right now, hypothetically, would be kick-ass. Really, really kick-ass. And that's a great base to start. But you look like you had something to say, please.
No, I'm just waiting for someone to look. Because I've moved the show over to this screen. So I'm looking.
Word. So like it would be one dope base. If I'm a manager, at least it wouldn't hurt to try and ask, like, yo, I know y'all don't want to do this, but let's think big picture. And especially if Dan is doing Inner Geekdom, I totally get it. Trust me, I'm right there with you on the faction infighting. I've been complaining about it for months. But geez, it'd be so cool. It really would be really cool. And Dan Murrell's future is like it's up in the air. Like a lot of people have him going to Swag, which totally makes sense, teaming up with Oyama, and because he's going to keep Chandru and Oyama, one of the worst kept secrets.
Apparently, that's Zack Ryder mentioned. That's not as set in stone as people may think. So,
are you nuts? Not you, but in general.
And Winston is keeping all of his options open as a manager, and Chandru is keeping all of his options open as a free agent. That is what.
Oh my God!
I don't want to get into that. We're already going a little bit longer than we normally do, and I don't want to get in the clean cleat territory.
No, we weren't going to hit 2.5, but
we still got a lot to talk about. We still got some things to talk about. So yeah.
My one thing. Chandru just made one of the best cases for Winston to be manager of the year on Twitter. I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Why would you want to leave? Like, how's that look about what you said about manager of the year then? It's like, oh man, like Winston's A, B, and C, but I'm gonna go elsewhere. Like, what the hell? Like that's, oh my God. Like, I think it's, but at the same time, I don't know their thought processes. Maybe Winston's trying to go, because where do you get better IG than Chandru at the moment? And like Paul Oyama, he's still a threat in singles and teams. And if you give him a teammate like Dan Murrell, my God. That's my quick 2 cents on what the hell he just said. Because that boggles my mind. Them splitting.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. You never know.
We'll see. But what was the other thing you wanted to mention?
John Harris returning, reportedly rumored to be returning.
Would it be with Lon?
I think let's be honest, John's a draft pick.
No, yeah. Like I wouldn't consider John Harris a top 24. I mean, their run as a team together was all right. John Harris. I don't remember his play too much, but it wasn't the best. He definitely had his strengths, and he was definitely kick-ass at them. I remember him being a scary player at one point, but his record doesn't back that up. And who knows, maybe he just got better between now and then, and putting him with Lon now can be terrifying. But I'd love to see John Harris come back. I was a fan of the Harris brothers when they were a thing.
I mean, it's definitely interesting to say the least. You got to wonder what would happen. It's cool to think that this might be a thing again. Could we see the Harris brothers return? Maybe. But it all depends on how the chips fall. It really does. Let's see. I'm just going through this. Yeah, it's Dan is talking to some factions. Apparently, the names of said factions are not being said. It's several factions.
I'm totally
According to my source, Morales had conversations with Swag, the usual suspects, the Dungeons, and the Quirky Mercs.
Ooh, whoa, what? The Mercs? Those first three made sense. Like, Swag, we've been talking about Merle with Swag the last couple weeks. The suspects, Sam managing Dan? Pff, my lord. The Dungeon. If it's not Bateman, it's Merle. at least in my opinion. At least for how the dungeon is going to look going into next season. But the Mercs? I'm just talking to the Mercs. Because you got Bibbs, got the kid. Because you're not dropping them, right?
No.
So that leaves that Kevin Smith presumable spot.
Yeah.
But would you drop Smith for Merle?
So Merle the champion, would I drop him for? No. Merle, who needs to get back to the championship, yes.
I would, if Kevin Smith is going to compete in the same divisions as Dan Merle, I'm picking Dan every day of the week, twice on Sundays.
Yep.
Like, belt or not, like, it's the GOAT. It's the best. And if Dan's like, hey, yeah, Coy, I'm down for this. I'm like, I want this partnership to happen. What a three! Remember when we said last week how some of these teams have like a lock three? Like how we mentioned, like if it's Chandru, Merle, or Oyama, that's one of the better threes on top, like Colin Kalinowski, Chance, like a well-rounded threesome of to start your faction.
Yep.
But Bibbs, Kid, and Dan? Oh, damn!
No one is to say that it would be those three, because apparently Bateman's tried to talk to the kid. So there's a lot of stuff out there. We don't know what's going to happen. But what I do know is that we'll be back next Wednesday with more of this.
We're wrapping the show. That's a bummer. But thank you to everyone who came by, stopped by. Thank you to the Rager Rick Raddus one more time for coming on the program. I mean, I would plug his socials, but he doesn't have any. Go follow the Ragents, his advocate, Taylor Cleek.
Taylor L. Cleek, at Taylor L. Cleek on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter, both at our personal handles and at Spin from the Real. Just verbatim, at Spin from the Real. Just put it on Twitter, type it in. We'll be there. And yeah, we talk. It's strictly Schmodown on that thing. Surprise. But we talk. We tweet all the time. We're out here. And you can see the Rager's little video he put on all the social medias. We retweeted it, so you can go ahead and see more of him and more of his advocate, Taylor Cleek. But again, thank you so much for everyone. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And normally I would say, remember, Spin from the Real, not the pegs. But I feel like today's episode needs a special question. So, Schmodown fans,
are you suckers ready to rage?
have a good night.